Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're getting a chance to view this devotion online. Thank you so much for being with me today. My name is Pastor Andrew, and I'm a pastor here at EBC, the Meeting Place. And so whether you're part of our church family or just joining us online for a moment, I thank you so much for being with me. If you're part of EBC, the Meeting Place, you would know that we are in a new preaching series called Say the Name. And we're looking at the prophecy in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, that goes through the prophet Isaiah's prophecy about the names of Jesus: Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Prince of Peace, Everlasting Father. And we want to break down those names and look at the fulfillment of prophecy in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. And so we hope that you'll join us starting this Sunday. We have the launch of our series. We have testimonies from our baptism. We have 11 baptisms this Sunday. So this is not a Sunday that you're going to want to miss. Mark your calendars, and we look forward to seeing you. And so leading into this series, or I should say alongside this series, we're just going to have just a couple minute devotions together, looking at some of the prophecies from the Old Testament that led us into the birth of Jesus. And so we've been really challenged in the course that I'm in right now to look at the Old Testament as opposed to calling it the Old Testament, calling it the First Testament, just as a thought exercise. First Testament. And the reason for that is that sometimes we can look at God's Word and it's Old Testament and New Testament. New always sounds so much better, doesn't it? New Testament. It's fresh, it's exciting, it's where we're going. Old is where we come from. It's old, it's dated, it's irrelevant. They challenge us to look at it as the First Testament so that in that thought exercise, it allows us to look at it with fresh eyes, that the God of the Old Testament, the First Testament, is the God of the New Testament, and he was painting on his canvas a story that was leading us to Jesus. When I first started filming this devotion, I was actually outside in the cold weather, and my computer died. And I thought, can I fix this? I asked the question, can I pick up where I left off? You know, oftentimes if I film something for online, I'm able to pick up where I left off. I can just go and I can edit and I can restart, or I can have a little split and then start again. I couldn't pick up where I left off, unfortunately, in that moment. I believe that question is asked a lot in life. Can we pick up where we left off? Usually there has been something, an action, a person that has maybe severed a conversation, severed a relationship, and they wish it didn't happen, and they want to just say, can we just pick up where we left off? Can we almost act like that didn't happen, like we didn't actually walk what we just journeyed through? Let's pick up where we left off so that we can move forward. In our prophecy that we're looking at today, I believe that Adam and Eve probably were asking that question. If you know Adam and Eve's story, you know that they fell, that they sinned, that they ate of the tree. God had given them a choice, and they made the wrong choice, and they chose sin. And they likely were asking that question, how could we mess up? We had been given everything. We have been given these awesome things from God, made to rule in this garden, and we can't pick up where we left off. We did the one thing that we were asked not to do. And they unfortunately could not rewind the tape. They couldn't split the screen. They could not move forward without God's help. God steps in and says, no, you cannot pick up where you left off, but I have something for you that's much better. I have something for you that is going to set the table for all of humanity. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, God is speaking to the snake, and he says this: I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring, and he shall bruise your head, and you will bruise his heel. In Genesis 3:15, we get our first prophecy of the one who was to come. And it's the prophecy that I wanted to launch us into this short devotion with today, because I believe that 3 chapters into God's Word, we get this beautiful picture of the one who was to come. You'll see that the manger is empty right now. Jesus had not been born as a man in that moment, but the picture is painted that he is going to come and he is going to be the snake crusher. All the way back, it is not old and irrelevant Old Testament. It is actually speaking and telling the story of the one who was to come. The Jesus of the New Testament is the Jesus also painted in the Old Testament. I am so glad that even though we could not pick up where we left off, that God was already painting a picture of something that was much better. He knew if they picked up where they left off, all they were going to do was sin again. And you're going to see that in some of the future prophecies as Israel continued to stumble and fall and stumble and fall. Well, they could not pick up where they left off, that we have a God of grace, and he always is pouring out grace on grace on grace, and he always knows exactly what you need. He is the snake crusher. And so thank you so much for being with me just for a few moments. I pray that this Christmas, while right now the manger's empty, we're still getting ready for Christmas celebrations, and we're going to have Christmas parties to go to. We're going to be setting up our decor. We're going to probably buy gifts for our loved ones. I would encourage you, don't leave Jesus out of your Christmas this season. I know it's corny and it's cliche to say, keep Christ in Christmas, but in the hustle and the bustle, know that God loved you so much that all the way back in Genesis chapter 3, he was already putting a plan into place for all of humanity. God bless you today. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday morning, and I'll see you back here hopefully on Friday morning for our next Old Testament prophecy. God bless.